Gergely József MT, és Langádámtól szeretném kérdezni, hogy
from Adam Long, I would like to ask. The Hungarian team in recent times had a stable defense. Then, on the first game, on the Euros, we saw nothing of that, despite the fact that you were playing in your most used combination. What was the reason behind that? How can this be explained? I think in football, both in attack and defense, we're moving as a team, as a unit. It's a fact that in the first half, on the Swiss game, the distances were too big. But we fixed that. We had discussions, everybody put in their opinions, and we know that this cannot happen again. What was the reason behind this? That's a good question. The point is that responsibility is shared among us. All of us dealt with this, and we know how important it is, the next game that we're going to play. We have fixed our errors, I think. And indeed, even if it was disappointing, our first half performance, in the second half, we can build on that. And that's the thing we have to remember, the second half performance. And we would like to play a tough game tomorrow against the hosts.
Yeah, Bild newspaper, Felix Arnold. Hello, Andras. I have one question. At the last game against Germany at the European Championship, you scored the goal against Manuel Neuer. How special was that moment for you, and do you hope that you will score tomorrow again?
I would like to welcome everybody. I will answer in Hungarian, okay? Yes, in the previous Euros, I had a goal with a header against the hosts, who are hosts now in Germany. Of course, that was a very special moment for me. Scoring a goal on the Euros is the dream of any young kid, as it was mine. And the icing on the cake was that I scored against such a good squad, against a world-class goalkeeper. Since then, of course, I've been asked this question many times, so my answer is the same. Yes, it was indeed a very special moment, and I hope I can repeat that tomorrow. But I would be okay with not scoring me, but another teammate would replicate that moment.
Borsos László vagyok a Nemzeti Sporttól. Ádám, téged kérdeznélek, hogy
Adam, my question to you. In April and May, you've faced injuries, and after Ireland, when we asked you how you were coping with it, you said that match was very tough, those 70 minutes. Since then, you've played 2 games, both times one half only. Are you ready for 90 minutes now? What state are you in now currently? I'm in a very good state. There's no problem with that. Those 3 last games and the trainings have helped me to be in my best shape. I'm 100% fit. I was not behind back then either, but it's normal that after skipping so many games, I feel the intensity is lower in my game. But thank you for your question. I'm fit, fully fit. Also to Adam, you're going to be starting again. What do you expect from Germany? No, I'm not going to be starting tomorrow. But we know the German squad's quality as well. Probably they're going to be dominating. But in my opinion, we have to focus on our own team's strengths and focus on that. We are, of course, aware of that the opponent has top-class players,
azon a véleményen vagyok, mondom, hogy itt
As I said,
kell
I
fókuszálni,
think
és az
we have to focus on ourselves.
Az, amiben mi erősek voltunk.
And
Tehát,
our
hogy
strength,
egységesek vagyunk tényleg, és
that we are united
taktikai fegyelmet,
and we are disciplined when it comes to tactics,
egymásért harcolva kisegítve,
and we are fighting for each other, helping each other
100%-os koncentráltság kell tényleg, mert az
with 100% concentration is needed. We cannot allow any mistakes on this level.
Erre készülünk.
It's going to be a tough game. That's what we are prepared for. From Andras, I would like to ask, can we capitalize on the fact that many of you are playing in the Bundesliga and you have met many players from the Bundesliga, you also are familiar with the stadium?
Úgy gondolom, hogy semmiképp sem hátrány az, hogy
I think it's not a disadvantage, for sure, that we have played here quite a few games, and we often play against the German players. Some of our players are even sharing a team with the German national team players. Of course, it's a benefit for us. It would be much more difficult if we have never played in Stuttgart or against these German players. Luckily, or not so luckily, we've always faced Germany in any qualifying campaign or big tournaments, so everybody has some sort of experience about the German team. Andras, my question to you: who are those German players that we have to pay special attention to? What are the elements of the German game we have to focus on? I think a team like Germany has such a pool of top-class players that it would be a mistake singling out any of them. Of course, they have them. They have these top-class players, but we don't have to think about individuality, but focus on ourselves, as the Germans do. They also, we want to compete against them as a team and get at least 1 or possibly 3 points. Question to both of you. Andras, what do you make of the first game's performance, your performance? Maybe you couldn't contribute to the attacking games as in the past against Kosovo when you were very dynamic. What do you expect in these terms? And Adam, your career in the national teams, I don't know if you are counting it, but since 2021, you've been playing 31 games in a row. What do you make of this period, and why do you think you have become such an important player for the Hungarian national team? Who starts? If you remember the question, then you start. It was a long question, yeah. I didn't play well. You have to be realistic. Nobody played well that game, especially in the first half. It's true that I was more passive. I couldn't really put in an extra performance in the first half, but not just individually, but as a team. When we went back on the pitch in the second half, we found our identity and our core, and not just me, but the whole team upgraded our game. And I'm not saying that we have to build only on that, but on the past 3-4 years that we've been together as a squad, and me being a member of the squad, there have been endless number of situations where we were down and no one expected us to come out of it. So these are the moments we are building on, me personally and the team as well. And we have to remember the things why other teams didn't like to play against us. Now it's my turn. To be honest, I'm not following the numbers. I go step by step to every training period. I come with pleasure and joy, and it's an honor that there is trust towards me. There's a trust invested on me. In each training and game, I get an opportunity to prove this invested trust. It's been a great period, and I've got great help from the team. We've got an emotional boost, me especially when I'm wearing the national colors. I'm already happy when I'm on the plane, on the way to the camp, because I like my teammates. We have a very good relationship. We know when we can have fun and when we have to take things seriously. When it's time to work, we work and concentrate, and when we can chill, we can share some nice moments with good vibes. To me personally, this is important, being part of a community like that.
Last question, please.
Sziasztok, Babjak Bence a
Utolsó
sporttától.
kérdés.
Kérdezném, hogy nyilván a továbbjutási remények
András,
tartásához nagyon fontos lenne pontot
of course,
szerezni,
to
de mégis
keep the hope alive, to pass from the group, we would have to get at least 1 point against Germany. But how much can we risk against Germany in Germany?
Nyilván erre nehéz választ adni.
Obviously, that's a difficult question to answer.
Természetesen alapvetően
Of course, today it's very hard to play any game without taking risks. You always have to take at least some minimum risk. And if the result allows so, you can increase the level of risks. As we have seen in the past against teams that are dominant like Germany, the tighter we can make the game, the more chances we have to win. They also become more anxious, and we can gain confidence from these matches. If we feel that we are stable and we don't concede goals, we can do counterattacks or possess the balls. And there's no difference now. We have to seek and try to make the game tight, waiting for opportunities. And in this case, we can take on more risks.
Thank you. The coach will arrive in a few minutes.
Buonasera, buonasera Rossi, Francesco Rocchi, Rai.
Good evening, Mr. Rossi, Francesco Rocchi. You need a reaction. Hungary needs a reaction after losing to Switzerland. Now it's Germany, one of the top teams, and they are the hosts, but you have a strong tradition against the Germans. Well, tradition alone isn't enough. We are well aware that in football, the past doesn't matter much. It can be recalled, but it doesn't matter much. After losing the first game, we were all very disappointed, considering the way we played the first half against Switzerland. In the second half, we came back. I think we played a good second half, although we did make some mistakes. In the end, however, the first half inevitably affected the final outcome, the final result. 2 goals out of 3 were due to our serious mistakes. And when you're playing the European Championship, you will pay dearly for certain mistakes. We've paid for this in the first game, and tomorrow we will be playing Germany, which in my opinion is the toughest rival, the toughest team to be playing against right now. But we'll try to do our very best. We know that on paper, and not only on paper, we know that the German team is better than us. We have to say this, and nobody can take offense. Actually, this should further stimulate us, should further motivate us, allowing us to give it our very best shot. Hopefully, we can grasp a point tomorrow, and that will allow us to hope to qualify for the next round. But this will call for the perfect match. all those who will be fielded must give 100%. 110% is impossible, but absolutely 100%. We have seen what they can do. We saw it in the first game. It's the only team that so far has dominated the match from the very beginning to the end without ever hesitating.
Jó napot kívánok, Kaiser Tamás vagyok a Sportáltól. Ugye mi az elmúlt 3 napban Weileri Mága
In the last 3 days in Weiler, we saw 2 trainings, some parts of it. We saw, it seems like that the team is more disciplined and more concentrated. Also the vibes, the atmosphere. Is that true? Did you have to fine-tune anything in terms of concentration and vibes?
As I was saying, after the first half against Switzerland, we've been dragging on this sort of dissatisfaction. We were discouraged. And this inevitably, however, brings about the will to truly show what we're worth. We seek some sort of comeback, because for the first time over the past 4 years, from September 2020, it's the first time that I, as a coach, was ashamed of my team after the first half. But inevitably, the first half affected the final outcome. And I and my players have this sensation right now. We really want to show what we are truly worth. And that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to draw or win against the Germans. It means fighting for every single ball, so that at the end of the game, regardless of the result, we can keep our heads up high.
How many positions are you planning to change compared to the Swiss game?
Well, from the start, perhaps a couple, 2 or 3 players in position, for a number of evaluations that I have made. And even given what we are seeing during the training sessions, I see how fit the players are.
Jegesi András vagyok az ATV-től, olaszul kérdezném, mister. Signor Rossi, cosa significa per lei che quando lei è il CT
What does it mean to you? You're the coach of Hungary. What does it mean not having lost against Germany yet? Well, I sort of answered that before. If that's what's on our mind, that won't work. Against against England, we played 4 games and we won twice and drew once. These are matches that belong to the past, however. Clearly, they make us aware of the fact that we performed well, that we truly did a great job. That's what happened with the Germans and with the English in the past. Hopefully, the same might happen tomorrow. I believe it. I believe it can happen. I hope it can happen. I believe in my team's thirst for revenge, so to speak. But I'm not naive. I know how strong our opponents are. Right now, it's not the German squad we played against 3 years ago or in the Nations League. There are different footballers now. They have Tony Kroos once again. He needs no introduction. And the previous coaches were very, very good, but I think that this one is really a top coach, top-notch coach. So if you look at all this, you know what you're in for. We know it will be very, very tough for us.
Marco Rossi regnálása alatt nem jellemző a magyar.
Under the reign of Marco Rossi, it's not very typical to play twice in 2 games in a row. And Adam Martin told us that he spoke without the team after the loss. And to what do you owe that we never played twice in bad form in 2 consecutive games?
Well, first of all, when you field a certain team, you try to field the best possible team. And then you have to consider the fitness level of the individual players and their ability to play together, to work together as a team. Sometimes I might get the impression it's best to replace one rather than 5 or 6, and magically you think you can find some sort of mechanism, some sort of system, but that's not the case. You can consolidate mechanisms if you keep on working together, playing together. If the players are able to find themselves easily on the pitch, well, that's crucial, but it's not just me that says this. Our national team cannot easily switch players like top national teams. We cannot change 5 or 6 players at a time. They have such a high quality that even if the mechanisms don't work so well, they still have great quality. But we don't have the kind of quality that Germany, Spain, England, Italy have. If we think we're at that same level, then we'll be totally wrong.
Do you have more questions? First row, please.
Question in English. There were a lot of memes in the internet about your striker Martin Adam. Maybe on the more serious side, what are his qualities, and did you notice the jokes about him?
Well, as long as it's on the internet and we see a picture, a photograph, everyone is so... The idiots at the keyboard, bravely in front of their computers at home. As long as it's that, it's acceptable, because we cannot control the minds and brains of these people. So that's part of the picture. But when on blogs people offend the players, well, that's unacceptable. That's disrespectful. So it's very unpleasant what happened to him. His body, his build is what it is ever since his birth. So I truly hope he will be able to score in these European Championships. Well, that would be very rewarding, very satisfying for him. Then again, I think he was largely unaffected. He really didn't take offense, because he's an exceptional lad from a number of viewpoints, and we are very happy to have him with us.
And the last question on the left.
Alex Zoltán, új szó. Azt kérdezném a szövetségkapitánytól, hogy ki az a játékos, aki taktikailag az ön
Who's the player that tactically is like your long arm, who is your assistant? Because after the Swiss game, Szoboszlai also said that they didn't know what the mistake was in the first half. Who's that player who can help you, like a kind of assistant on the pitch, to make these transitions and changes?
In the first half, the tactical mistakes and technical mistakes at an individual level were pretty obvious. Just as a couple of mistakes we made in the second half. On the pitch, there has to be communication, clearly, between the players. A communication that ensures that the tactical plan is untouched. That way the team can move as one, keep short distances between the players, and follow the main principles we intend to follow. From the outside, from the bench, we realized some things were going on, and I said this at the previous press conference. We realized there was a technical issue, given the position of Vargas and Rabishev and the way they rotated. We realized this after 5 minutes, but we were not able to solve the problem. We only solved it at the very end of the first half. We did not concede the goals because of this, however. We conceded the goals because of a number of technical and tactical errors that came about, one after the other. Then again, when the opponents score, it's always because you have made some sort of mistake. Sometimes you make a mistake and then you can make up for it. And the 2 goals we conceded, we made a number of mistakes and nobody managed to remedy that.